When Richard Ramirez was finally in custody, Los Angeles expected relief. Instead, the fear evolved. Because capturing the Night Stalker didn't end the nightmare. It transformed it. What followed would expose something far more disturbing than his crimes: America's complicated relationship with evil. Ramirez didn't arrive at the police station broken or remorseful. Arrived calm, defiant, almost amused. During interrogations, he showed little emotion, no apologies, no explanations that made sense. When asked why he did it, his answers shifted constantly: religion, fate, Satan, impulse. Nothing consistent, nothing human. Investigators quickly realized something chilling: Richard Ramirez wasn't interested in escape anymore. He was interested in attention. As the case moved toward trial, media coverage exploded. Television crews followed every transfer. Newspapers printed his face daily. His name became unavoidable. And instead of shrinking under the spotlight, Ramirez leaned into it. He flashed symbols. He smirked at cameras. He raised his hand in gestures meant to shock. This wasn't fear. This was performance. Psychologists studying the case began forming a clearer picture. Ramirez wasn't driven by a single motive. He wasn't killing for money, or revenge, or even consistent gratification. What fueled him was power. The power to invade homes, the power to control terror, the power to be remembered. And now, sitting in a courtroom packed with reporters, he finally had what he craved: an audience. The trial began in 1988 and quickly turned into a spectacle. Court security was extreme. Victims' families filled the benches. And outside the courthouse, something deeply unsettling emerged. Fans. Women wrote letters. Some declared love. Others proposed marriage. They wore black. They wore pentagrams. They waited for hours just to see him pass. It wasn't about him. It was about the myth. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors focused on facts: fingerprints, eyewitness testimony, ballistics, forensic evidence tying Ramirez to multiple crime scenes. The defense attempted insanity claims, but the evidence was overwhelming. This wasn't chaos. It was choice. Victims who survived testified with composure and clarity. They described how ordinary nights turned into permanent trauma, how safety vanished, how trust was destroyed, and how the man sitting feet away from them showed no reaction, no regret, just silence. The jury deliberated carefully. This wasn't just about punishment. It was about closure for a city that had lived in fear. In September 1989, the verdict was read: guilty on multiple counts of murder, attempted murder, sexual assault, and burglary. Richard Ramirez was sentenced to death. Los Angeles exhaled. But the story didn't end there. Because Ramirez would spend more than 2 decades on death row. During that time, he continued to attract attention. Books, interviews, true crime fascination. And the same question echoed quietly in the background: did we stop him, or did we immortalize him? In 2013, Richard Ramirez died in prison from complications related to cancer. No execution. No final statement. Just an ending: quiet, anticlimactic, and deeply unsatisfying. For many families, justice felt incomplete. For others, it was enough that he could no longer harm anyone. The Night Stalker case forced America to confront uncomfortable truths: that fear spreads faster than facts, that media can amplify monsters, that notoriety can become currency, and that sometimes the most dangerous thing we give a killer is attention. Los Angeles eventually returned to normal. Doors unlocked again. Windows opened. Life moved forward. But the memory remains. Not just of the crimes, but of the nights when an entire city listened to every sound in the dark. This wasn't just the story of Richard Ramirez. It was the story of a city under siege, a system tested, and a culture forced to ask itself, how do we tell these stories without creating legends we never intended? This was a true American story. And it reminds us that evil doesn't always hide in the shadows. Sometimes, it waits for applause. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and support us by liking this video. Stay tuned for the next true story from True Tales USA.